Come on, you've had all morning to recover from last night. We can get it louder than that. Let's go. Come on. There we go. Thanks to all of you for being here and for coming back today. I'm really excited for this conversation, and I have to set the stage for you with Carl and AbCellera. This is a company that was founded in 2012, got their $10 million Series A in 2018. Then in May of 2020, $105 million Series B, and then they IPO'd in December with a market cap, last I checked, of around $6 billion. Maybe it's more, Carl can tell me.
A little less.
So, but tell us a little bit about your story, because when we were chatting before, you described your business model as anti-disruptive, and I loved that connotation. So talk a little bit about that model.
Sure, I'm happy to. I don't want to maybe be contentious, given that the title of this entire seminar is A Decade of Disruption. But at some level, if you're building a company, what you're after is building a terrific service, business model, product, ideally that is not already being filled, right? And so the goal is not disruption, which is about sort of taking something from people, but rather creating a new opportunity, a new market. For us, that started in 2012. We're a bunch of scientists. I mean, my background was math, physics, engineering, and then a professor for many years doing work. Got sort of fed up with the academic track, and sort of part midlife crisis, part opportunity recognition, we decided that there was a problem in the drug development sector. And roughly, a class of drugs called antibodies over the last 30 years has grown from nothing to one of the biggest sectors of biopharma. But the technologies that underpin that had not changed substantially in 30 years. And so we said, instead of being a biotech that develops drugs like everyone wanted you to do, instead of being a tools provider, we were going to reinvent that technology stack, and we built a technology that lets you search, decode, and analyze antibodies, which are molecules naturally made by the immune system. And we set ourselves up not to compete with the pharma industry, but to help small companies and big companies alike fulfill the goal of translating science into new clinical products.
Yeah. So I'd love to talk about this in the context of COVID and the current pandemic, because you worked with Eli Lilly to develop the first authorized antibody treatment for COVID, which has been administered to hundreds of thousands of people, probably saved tens of thousands of lives. How did that partnership come about? And I think, more importantly, I think people would be interested, how did you do it so fast?
How did you do it so fast? Well, we invented our technology with one purpose, which was to accelerate the path from basic science to the clinic. So speed is something that is, intertwined in everything we do at the company. For about 4 years, we had been working with the Defense Advanced Research Programs Agency of the US government. So the same agency that brought, GPS and the internet. And they deserve a lot of credit because they recognized that a pandemic, a viral pandemic, was probably one of the biggest threats to national security. Where people were talking about it academically but not doing anything about it, DARPA said, we're going to fund groups to put in place all the platforms to be able to take a blood sample from a patient that had been infected by COVID-19, search through millions of cells to find that cell that makes an antibody that could be a solution, and then manufacture that and give it back to the population as a stopgap or as a fire break to pandemic spread. So we've been doing that for two years. We had done a series of pressure tests and proved that we could get that to work well. And then in January of last year, we got the call. COVID-19 had arrived in the US, and whether we were ready or not, we felt we're more ready than anyone. And so we're able to deploy that and get that process of going from idea to clinical testing, which normally takes years, 3 years.
Right.
Shrunk that down into 3 months, not only by ourselves, but also through a collaboration with Eli Lilly, which of course has the muscle to do the clinical and the commercial development. So that's how we got there.
So what were